Life flows on the river of purpose. We're all carried by the uncertainty of its own unfolding. Chasing purpose is all about nurturing faith, setting intentions, pursuing aspirations, all while living boldly. Chasing Purpose aims to inspire, uplift, and empower people through real life stories. Stories that encapsulate life's memorable moments and enduring life lessons. Chasing Purpose with host Syntyche.
Growing up in a household with two other siblings, me being the eldest and my sister Stacy being the middle child, and my brother Stephen the youngest, we saw our parents work multiple jobs each. My mother was administrative assistant for a major insurance firm in New York City. My father drove trucks for Macy's and then transitioned to working for a security firm as a security guard. Plus, he had a side hustle painting. And they both were the sextons at my school/church, which was no fun to any of my siblings and I. Their work ethic was no joke. They did not take any days off, even if they were ill. They always went above and beyond their job descriptions and duties. They worked hard, really hard, to ensure that my siblings and I, and whoever was in the house, whether it be other family members that came to stay with us or friends passing through, that they were fed and comfortable. Putting us through private school, extracurricular activities, and on top of each child's social calendar, day in and day out, aches and pains, bills, putting us through private school, extracurricular activities, and staying on top of each child's social calendar, day in and day out, aches and pains, bills, children's demands, family issues, and many other responsibilities. My parents did everything in their power to give us the very best. Not because they had it, Lord knows we had rough times, not because they wanted to work the multiple jobs coming home tired. They went through all of this because they both had immense faith in God and they were trusting the process. Trusting the process of working towards the American dream. Trusting the process of working hard so we didn't have to. Trusting the process by instilling in us that hard work does pay off. Welcome to Chasing Purpose, a journey of self-development, self-love, healing, and spirituality. Our aim is to empower and uplift you through thought-provoking conversation, surrounding our four pillars: nurturing faith, pursuing aspirations, setting intentions, all while living boldly. On last week's show, we were joined by the extraordinary Althea Lang, who shared some gems on the topic, winning with style and grace. Here is our purpose pull.
We need to understand the beauty that is within, and that beauty within will radiate, and we get to the point where we're able to encapsulate all our needs, our hopes, our dreams, and our desires once we start feeling good in the skin that we are in.
In today's show, we look at the importance of trusting the process. We are joined by HR and leadership consultant and UN ambassador and co-founder of Mind Food International, Natassia Wright. We're going to call her Naz because I get tongue twisted, but Naz, welcome to Chasing Purpose.
Thank you so much for having me, Sin. It is a pleasure.
I am excited for today's show. Please, I didn't say this earlier, get your journals, get your water or your wine, whatever you're drinking, because Naz is going to drop some gems. So we're talking, Naz, about trusting the process, something that we were kind of talking about off camera, you know, with your partner and husband. We were talking more about the entertainment industry, but it's still, all of this is trusting a process, right? Let me ask you this. What is trusting a process, trusting the process for you?
Well, that's such a great question, because I must tell you, just a little introduction before answering. We're living in a society that everybody wants everything right now. And so nobody believes in being processed. Mm-hmm. We want everything instantaneously. Mm-hmm. Trusting the process for me is understanding that there are levels. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to learn lessons before you get to the prize, mm-hmm. or, you know, you have to actually run the race before you're considered the winner, right? Before you get to level 3, you have to do level 1 and 2. There's no no skipping. And indeed, if you try to jump over things before it's time, you're not going to be able to sustain that success. And that can be damaging to your character. So that's trusting the process for me.
Damaging to your character. You also mentioned you can't get to level 3 without doing level 1, and there is and in that though you have to find some sort of trust in yourself, in God, and who you believe in. So talk about the trust aspect of it.
We all need faith. Whatever faith is to you, whoever you believe in, for me, I must tell you, there is a God.
Yes,
there is somebody that I have to anchor myself on, because I've been through so much, right? I lost my dad when I was 10 years old, my mom when I was 16. 2 days before, 2 days after my mom died, I actually had to sit 8 CXC exams. So I had to find that source to anchor my faith on. After getting through those exams, passing all 8 under those circumstances.
I mean, hello, round of applause.
I know.
Yeah, hello.
It's just God's grace. Yeah. I mean, and then coming out with 6 2s and 2 1s, not failing nothing, not getting a pass mark. It's just incredible. And then afterwards, my grandmother, who took my brother and I in, she died from cancer. Wow. I must have had something to anchor myself on and to believe that although I was going through all of this, although I was living in poverty, although I saw other people just not living well, I had to believe that my future would be different. And so for me, I had to believe that God was there, is there, and he has a plan for my life. So trusting is incredibly vital to the whole processing, because if you don't believe, you're not going to hold on, you're going to quit.
You said you had to believe that God had a plan for your life. That word belief is very, very important. We have to believe that we're here for a reason.
Yes.
We have to understand that there's a purpose within. He's gifted us with whatever the purpose is. Yours is leadership, right? Amongst other things. Mine is helping persons, and whatever the aspects of that is. But he gave us something, and we have to trust what the process is. And what the process is looks different from you versus from me.
For everybody.
Right? For everybody. The process looks different, but we have to be sure or certain that we must trust that he is going to lead us on this journey.
Yes.
Why do we need to trust, you think, in our personal, spiritual, and work life?
You need that aspect, because I mean, if you don't, you're gonna quit. The reason people get up and decide that they're gonna take their own life, unfortunately, is because they feel hopeless. It's that lack of hope that does not want them to continue. I don't want to get up tomorrow because there's nothing to look forward to. When you are trusting in, a superior being, when you are trusting that you have your family and you need to make ends meet for them, that gives you hope. Yeah. You want to continue because tomorrow might be different. Next week may be different. It's not going to be the same. And so it's important for us to trust, because you're going to quit. Yeah. You won't see the purpose in it. You won't see the significance of wanting to continue.
As an HR consultant, talk to me about trust in the workplace.
Wow, that's so big. When you're working in any environment, first of all, I don't know about nobody else, but I need to trust that the policies are going to protect me. Yes. And so I'm not in the workplace, and I'm not going to be fearful that, oh, this guy is looking at me so strange, and, my superiors are not going to believe me. They're not going to do anything about it. It's so important to know that when you do my appraisal as my manager, you're doing my performance appraisal, I can trust your advice, and you're saying, Natassia, I think you spend too much time on the phone. You're always texting. Or, Natassia, You spend too long on the reports. It's taking away time from other things.
Yes,
I need to be able to trust your feedback. I need to be able to trust your criticisms, because you have people who have been given power to speak over your life, and trust me, they abuse it.
Yeah, yes.
They abuse it.
Yes.
People are going around feeling less than themselves because their manager tell them every day, I don't even know why you're here, because you can't help me. You're not adding to the team. You're the least among everybody else. That does a lot to people's self-confidence.
Of course.
And so even in workplaces, you have to have that level of trust. Trust that the system protects you. Trust that the system will reward you. Trust that the system will empower you, because when I act out and I do well, act out in a positive way. When I do well, when you see that I'm a great supervisor, I'm a great manager, you're going to promote me. Right? You have to have trust in a lot of things. And then trust in your colleagues too, to know that you have that support system. When you come, it's a family. It's not that, oh, I don't want to show Sin nothing because Sin never come take my job. You know, so.
Which happens though.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens, but I'm saying that the culture needs to be, has at least some level of security, feeling of security and support for persons.
All right, trust in spiritual life.
So important. If I can't trust my God, I mean, what am I living for? It's simply put, and you have people who believe in, they could believe in this table. For me, that wouldn't work. Because trust, let me tell you something. The reason trust is so easy to be broken, it's because that is what you're relying on. That is your precedence. You know, in law, they say, oh, you know, we had this case before and that sets the precedence for this. So if I can't trust that you came through for me the last time, I'm not going to trust you going forward. And that's it for me in my spiritual life. God has showed up for me time and time and time. When I was 10 years old and my house burned down, I mean, I saw my family get back house at 10 years old. I saw us rebuilding, right? Even after losing my mother, father, grandmother, all those things happening to me, being molested, I saw that I have been able to pull myself together and turn around and help other people. It's because I can trust in God.
You lost mom, dad, grandma, lost a home.
Yeah.
And you still felt the need to trust. You had to trust in something.
I had to.
You had to trust in something. And I mean, this is like, God is so real. And we have to believe, we have to trust, we have to anchor ourselves in Him, okay? Because look, we're talking about someone at 10 going through something so traumatizing, so traumatic, and who is sitting before us here, a boss, someone that is sitting here, someone that is, and not only that, not only just a boss, you went through all that loss, all that hurt. You wanted to empower yourself, and you also want to share and give back.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through those things and then become bitter. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. When we come back, more with Natassia Wright on Chasing Purpose. Welcome back to Chasing Purpose, heard right here on the Bridge 99 FM in Jamaica and in the New York tri-state area on Irie Jam Radio. We are talking today about trusting the process. Whatever that looks like to you, we're going to be breaking it down and giving you tips on doing so. I'm joined by Natassia Wright, who is the co-founder of Mind Food International, and she's an HR and leadership consultant and UN ambassador. Let us give her her flowers, okay? All right, Nas,
yes.
I want to share with you and the audience this excerpt that I read online that kind of speaks to trusting the process. It reads, the name of it is called Chinese Bamboo Tree. The tree begins as a nut planted in soil and must be watered and fertilized every single day for 5 years before it finally breaks through the ground. All that time it spreads out its roots, and if at any time the watering or fertilizing process stops, the Chinese bamboo tree dies in the ground. But in that 5th year, the Chinese bamboo tree finally breaks through the ground and grows to nearly 90 feet tall in just 6 weeks. The tree must take 5 long years of developing a strong, deep, wide root system so it doesn't topple over when it is grown. When I read this, I was like, trust the process.
Oh yeah.
The bamboo tree had to, and apparently if it does not, like any other thing that we're growing, if it's not watered and cared for,
it dies.
It dies. Give us your take on this excerpt.
I love it. I love it, I must tell you, because it's something that I have studied and it's something that I have lived. My husband and I, we started Mind Food 9 years ago, and we started by just sending morning inspirations. We kept going. We were, sending emails, and it turned into books, conferences. We started speaking all over the world, going into organizations, but all along for those 8 years, it's been me, my daughter, and my husband. And we did all the work. And we used to struggle to the events with our bags and everything. We didn't even have a car at one point, but we were all about empowering people. So we had our events, we charged nothing. And then out of nowhere, over the last 2 years, we just started gaining serious momentum. I mean, to the point where I was sharing with you off air, to the point where we're now at 80 employees, and this just happened over the period. Thank you, over the period of a few months. It speaks to continuously watering, continuously doing those things that are required for growth, but don't expect growth to happen overnight.
Right away, which a lot of us do.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we live in a world, this microwave world, this fast food world, where everything needs to happen right away. I am also I'm victim. I'm guilty of that. I want everything to work the way I want it to. Right now. However, when you talk about a bamboo tree, bamboo is something I love, a favorite plant of mine, tree of mine. But what it has to go through to grow that 90 feet tall, it's a process.
Yes.
It is a process. Our entire life, it is a process.
And I want you to also look at, let's not skip over this. The bamboo tree, it took those 5 years to do what? To deepen its roots.
Yes, and the roots, yes, and to expand, yes, absolutely.
And that is critical for the growth. Extremely. You want to know why? Because trees that tall need strong roots. Yes. You have to be able to sustain and manage. Yeah. My husband always talks about, skyscrapers are not built on shallow foundation. No. They actually dig so far in the earth and connect the foundation of the skyscrapers to what we call bedrock. That's that's a part of the earth that will never move. It doesn't matter which earthquake, which volcano, that area won't move. And so that building will stay there. It will sway, possibly, but it's not gonna move. Skyscrapers have to go deep before they go up, and it's the same for us.
Skyscrapers have to go deep before they go up. That's a gem. Foundation.
Yeah.
Foundation, setting the foundation, shoring up that foundation is very important. Let's talk about that really quickly. Yeah. How should one set up foundation, their foundation?
You need core values. What are your core values? Because let me tell you, if that is shaky, your building is going to crumble. And so when you find people who are constantly going after, they're chasing purpose or they're chasing popularity, when it comes, whatever it is that you're chasing, when it comes, if you don't have those core values, it's going to destroy you. We see it all the time. People who have fame, but then when the criticisms come, they find themselves jumping off the deep end because they can't deal with it. They've never been through that process. Or what about childhood stars? They're kids. And they have this huge responsibility and burden. It's the same thing. It's a Chinese bamboo tree. They need time to be developed. so that they can deal with what is to come. And that's why processing, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's what builds a man. It's what creates it turns you into the butterfly, from being a caterpillar into the butterfly. That's the beauty in the process.
The process is beautiful, and many do not see it that way. Many do not understand that you doing all those events for free, which is a word that people clutch their pearls on. Nobody don't want them for free again. Doing events for free, having to drag your daughter around, who probably didn't want to be dragged around. Okay, with no car at one point. You know, doing it scared, but knowing that, you know what, there's an end game here, and I'm setting the foundation for something that is going to be bigger.
You know, I want to share, because the other day I was thinking, and now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that it's not just even about Jamar and I, who have gotten all these titles and, you know, all these accolades that we just push one side. But there is something even more beautiful in all this process. My daughter, our daughter, she has been on most of our trips. I mean, like, if we're gonna go to the airport in a few hours, if we go to the airport right now and that child has a 12-hour flight, that child will be up. She'll sleep a little bit, but she'll be up. And it's almost as if she won't get tired, because she's 7 years old, but she's used to the life. You know, if she sees me going for my light and I'm sitting in my room, and she sees me setting up, she's like, okay, you have a session now, mommy? I said, yes. I said, okay, I want to talk to you, but I'll talk to you after. And it's so amazing that it's building it's building her character to the point where she understands that mommy and daddy have to work to help other people, and she's learning. So to me, it's not just about our process, but she's going through a process too.
And not only is she going through a process, you guys are securing up and shoring up her foundation. Because when she gets older, whether it is that she's going to go along the road that you guys have paid for her in the mind food, if she's going to take that up, or whatever it is she goes on for, she's going to understand that there is a process. She's going to see that mommy and daddy struggled in the beginning, but the reward is so much sweeter.
Yes.
Look here now. Look here now. We're talking. I digress. Waiting. As we talk about how beautiful the process is, there are times that we're going to have to wait. There is a waiting season.
I hate the waiting process, just like anybody else. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. To the point where I would, there were times when I would just try to do everything like instant. If I'm gonna go to do some blood work, I'll opt to get the results now. Right, because I was like, I don't want to wait. Right, the suspense is killing me. But you know what I've learned, Sin, and I've learned this recently. I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect or anything. I learned this recently. I learned that while I was waiting, I needed to be present. Because let me tell you what was happening to me.
That's a gem. Wait. While we're waiting, we need to be present. Go ahead.
Let me tell you what was happening to me. So I was back then not doing so well, and I was imagining myself to be this person that, would have all these lights around and be doing the interviews and doing the speaking and whatever. And then when I got to being that person doing the speaking and have these lights around, I'm thinking to myself, my God, I need to go sleep. I need some rest. What's going on at home? How can I build the business up a little bit more? And then something said to me, like, at what point are you just going to enjoy right now? And so when I started being present, practicing mindfulness, then the waiting became more bearable.
Practicing being present, that's a gem. Something that a lot of us do not do, especially if you're in a leadership position, or even if you're not. Even if you're not, if you're just, whatever your position is, you're always thinking about what's coming next.
There's always something.
There's always something. But being, they say that God speaks to you when you're still. So much comes to you when you are still, when you are present. Because I want to tell you, when your physical is there, but your mental isn't there, so much passes you by. So much passes you by. And even as a mom, right? A mom that's an entrepreneur, that, you know, there's social calendars, there's doctor's appointments, all these things. You have to be mommy, you have to be wife, you have to be all of these things. If you're not present, you're going to miss out on what it is your child has going on.
Exactly. And, you know, let me share something so close to my heart. For most of my daughter's development, from 1 to about 6, I missed everything. My husband was the one that was there with my daughter. I was always working. I missed everything. Her first walk, when she was creeping, when she turned one Saturday morning, she got up. She was like 6 months old. She got up from the lying position and she sat up, and I almost teared my hair out because I did not know that the child could do that.
Wow.
I almost screamed.
Wow.
You know, there were so many things that I missed. So you see, we don't see, we miss the gems. While we're waiting, we miss some powerful things that are needed to help to shape us to when we get to where we want to get to. And that's why we have to be so careful, because if you don't learn those lessons in the waiting season, when the time comes, you're not going to be prepared. And I keep saying that over and over again because it's important. You're going to go back around that same mulberry bush and think to yourself, but this looks familiar. Or this person is treating me like that person did. But maybe it's happening because you weren't really trusting the process or absorbing the lessons that were being taught in that moment.
Waiting is preparing you for something.
Yes.
In our waiting season, we shouldn't look at it from the lens of, oh God, man, I want to go, I need it now. But look at it as if you are now being prepared. While you are sitting back and you're waiting, in that stillness, you're being prepared.
Yes.
When we come back from break, more with Natassia Wright. Welcome back to Chasing Purpose. We are talking about trusting the process and looking at it from a more positive perspective, right? Well, before we went to break, Naz was talking about, we're talking about waiting, yeah? And that in that waiting, we are being prepared. But while we're waiting, we know frustration sets in.
That's a must.
Frustration sets in. Overwhelm sets in. How do we insulate ourselves from the frustration?
Well, first of all, I'd like to embrace that you're feeling frustrated first, because, I mean, if you are going to be in denial, you're just going to make it worse, right? You are going through a rough patch. What you thought would have worked out, it's not working out. Admit that, but still believe that it's going to happen down the road. Another thing I want to add to that is that while you are waiting and you're frustrated, still prepare yourself.
Yes.
So for example, I always wanted to be on the stage speaking or whatever. So while I was waiting all those years, I was still doing my 9 to 5, by the way, let me tell you, because some people think that everybody just quits their job and just jump into whatever.
Case, right.
I was still working, but I was still preparing myself, you know, like a real boss. So I will see all those persons on stage and, you know, they would be speaking and doing all those things. I was preparing myself. I was preparing myself through reading. So yes, I was frustrated, but I was still reading. I was still doing whatever gigs I could do free, like we spoke about, right? Still frustrated that they didn't pay me, but I mean, whatever, it's experience. And so I garnered enough experience under my belt during that waiting period, so that when it was time for me to actually be paid, they were paying for value.
They're paying for value.
Paying for value. So don't let frustration not make you still show up.
Right. Don't let frustration not make you
show up.
Because what I'm hearing there is, yeah, man, we get frustrated, we get overwhelmed, we just decide to just kind of shut down. We're no longer going to show up for ourselves, for the mission that we have set out for ourselves, the aims and the goals. We just allow it to take us over, and we just get annoyed, and we just shut down. But in essence, what I love is that in that frustration, in that time, you were still preparing yourself. We're still preparing ourselves. Do not get it twisted. The Oprahs of the world, the Brene Browns of the world, closer to home, the Nicole Campbells of the world, the Crystal Thompsons of the world. They're preparing when they didn't just happen to just turn on the lights, camera, action. It was like, yeah, 1 million followers. No.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
There was preparation.
Indeed. And
there was preparation.
And when I am blessed enough to be in the audience of people like you've named, I always ask them, what was that season like for you? You'd be surprised to know what they have gone through, how they felt, you know, how they fell on their face and they had to get up again. And it reminds me that, listen, you know, nothing to complain about. I just keep it moving because they don't quit. They keep going. And I learned that listen, you have to have resilience. You have to be disciplined. So even though you're feeling frustrated and you want to give up, you're still going. You're still showing up. I'm all about never going anywhere empty-handed or empty-headed. So listen, I may not be in my best mood today, but when I put my shoes on and my pants on and do my makeup, I'm coming full 100. And I'm going to give it my full 100.
Yes,
for the 20 minutes or the 1 hour. For 10 people or 1,000 people.
Yes, yes, and yes. All of that. Let me tell you something. I think I said this already. There's no one that I know of that I can personally say it started a journey, something similar as wanting to be a public speaker, where as soon as they say, all right, I'm going to do this event, the place ram. No. Actually chirping birds, okay? Chirping birds, tumbleweeds is what you're talking to. I've spoken to many public speakers that have said, look, on the first time, my voice was shaky. I tumbled over myself. I forgot what I was going to say. But they went and they gave it their all. They went. It wasn't about being, what you said, empty-handed or empty-headed. Empty-handed or empty-headed. No, you still spoke to the 15,000 empty chairs. You continue to you move forward because no matter what, you know, those empty chairs, one by one, they're gonna get filled. They're gonna get filled one by one. And now you're 9 years later, and you are an ambassador to the UN. Yes. All right. The manager or boss to 80 employees, showing your daughter what it is to be a boss in the space. And all of that was you preparing yourself and trusting the process.
Indeed.
Trusting the process. How do we ensure that while trusting the process, we do not get bitter?
Oh, that's so important. I was going to mention that even before you asked, because while we're talking about process and we're talking about deep roots and core values, we haven't really mentioned the people issues in the midst of growing. And so if you have gone through childhood trauma that you have not dealt with, let me tell you something, success is going to kill you.
It's true.
Because the truth is, you can't go through life cutting off everybody. I can't allow you to say something, well, you said something that offends me, and then tomorrow I'm like, I'm done with you, I'm going to block you. I'm going to delete your number. I'm not talking to you ever again, Sin. I don't care how long I've known you. These are things that are so toxic. I have been preaching about following memes that you see on social media that are coming from very bitter places of somebody's heart. When you are growing and trusting the process, you will have to understand that people will fail you.
Yes.
They will not believe in you. They will say things that they probably didn't mean, or they probably meant it, but either way, you can't put that on your head, right? Your family may not support you. Your friends may disappear. You have to understand that is in the process too. Not everybody can go everywhere with you. They may have started out with you, but it certainly can't continue. They can't give you what you need. They can't nurture you. That's not the right soil for you right now, and you have to just move on. It doesn't mean that you don't love them anymore. No, it's just that you have certain boundaries in place, so we can't have certain conversations because it's going to pull me back to a place where I am trying to free myself from. And so the thing about bitterness is, if it is not dealt with early, it can pretty much destroy your marriage, your friendships, your business relationships, everything. If you're dealing with rejection, if you're dealing with loneliness, if you're dealing with matters of being abandoned, it's going to come off in every relationship. But there's a choice, just like grapes. When grapes are crushed and left to be fermented, grape juice can become either vinegar or it can become wine. I've decided that no matter what I've gone through, molestation, you name it, the same relative that molested me, if them call me and say them hungry right now, I go find the food.
Wow.
I chose
That's a choice.
to become
That's a choice.
wine.
Yeah.
And I can choose. I'm not saying it's easy, guys. I'm not saying it's easy. But I can choose to not allow someone who has offended me to ruin my life.
Wow.
Or prevent somebody else from coming to help me or support me.
Yeah.
And I can still look the person in the face and say, yeah, man, everything cool and go on. I mean, I'm hurt. But I understand that you're a person. I don't know why you did what you did. Maybe you're going through your own stuff. I don't have to take it personal. You have to choose. It's either you're going to become vinegar, does not taste good, inexpensive. I use vinegar right now to wash my meat and wash off my hair. No offense to vinegar, but that's what I use it for. But when I'm in my moments of celebration, I draw for a bottle of Merlot.
Okay, you're either going to be vinegar or wine. You choose.
Choose.
Life gives you choices. You have the choice. You're either going to be bitter or you're going to be better. And we're on air, so we're on Chasing Purpose, we're on the bridge, we're on CGN, we're on Ira Jam. We choose to be better.
Indeed.
All right? Have you ever questioned or lost faith?
A lot of times. When I was, after my grandmother died, I was at my final straw. I got baptized when I was 13 years old. By the time I lost my mother and my grandmother, I was like, God, to hell with you. If that sentence even makes sense. If that sentence even makes sense. I was like, I'm not going to church. Like, every church door, I would walk straight past it. Because I was like, God, my mother served you faithfully. The night my mother died, her church clothes were already out to go and serve in church.
Wow.
How could I feel? Remember, I had already lost my father.
Yes.
I was like, God, you don't love me.
Wow.
So I gave up. I said, God, I'm not doing this. I don't understand what you're doing. And it took a very special gentleman that I met in university. And we met up after I graduated. And it was that gentleman who took me back to church. Wow. And I married him for that. I married him for that because he knew that I needed healing and in a deep way. Because I lost my faith in. When I said I lost my faith, I mean I believed I was going to be great, but I couldn't connect the dots because I was paining so much. And let me tell you, everything that I can't get my parents back, but I really feel as though, you know, if I were to change anything, I wouldn't touch anything. Because I wouldn't be this person.
If you were to change anything, you wouldn't touch anything.
I wouldn't touch anything.
That's a brilliant mindset, Natassia.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant mindset. A lot of people who would have gone through or experienced the loss that you have, they chose the vinegar. They chose the vinegar because they could not, as you said, they could not connect the dots. Losing your grandmother, that was the final straw for you. And you just couldn't see a way. There's a young woman or a young man right now, at whatever age that is going through the same thing. Let me just tell you guys, the dots can be connected. He is there, you know.
Yes.
He is with you. All you have to do is trust the process. When we come back, I'm trusting that this process is going to be fast. We're going to a quick commercial break. More with Natassia Wright on Chasing Purpose. Welcome back to Chasing Purpose. We are talking about trusting the process. I certainly hope you guys are writing down the gems that Naz is giving you. A lot is being said, so please take the gems and apply them to your life. You know, we're not doing Chasing Purpose just to be talking, although I do love to talk. But really, the show is really about is thought provoking because we want you guys to think. We want you guys not just to think, but to apply these things. That's why we're here to share. Again, our tagline is sowing seeds others will benefit from. All right. Something that I've struggled with. I've addressed it. Sometimes it won't come in like it won't get in there, but I've put up my boundaries. Imposter syndrome. Along the journey of trusting the process, imposter syndrome has affected me. Yeah? This is my 70th show. At no point would anybody think Syntyche be sitting in front of nobody camera, talk about purpose and faith and all of these things. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a trained public speaker. So, I'm thinking to myself, well, why do you think anybody's going to listen to you? Why you? And that's the crux of imposter syndrome. Now, tell us about your bout with, if you've had.
If there's a conditional term there, I think anyone who has to face the public or the public scrutiny has had some experience with imposter syndrome, and I have had my own share and continue to, because I think it's something that never leaves, actually.
True.
Because while you are doing what you're doing, there is a part of you that can hardly believe that you're doing it. Okay? So imposter syndrome is something that I've addressed in videos, YouTube videos, Instagram lives, all these different things, and I focus on it because once you are chasing purpose, there's this thing that says, who do you think you are? Who told you that you are made for this stage to be interviewing such persons? Why do you think you're qualified? In fact, you're not qualified. Okay, leave this to the big shots. But I'm here to tell you that it is just the voice of people's opinions, one, because sometimes it's what you hear that makes you then question yourself, or sometimes it is your own inner doubt, your own inner self-limiting beliefs. And it comes out so audibly that you're saying to yourself, man, I can't do this. I'm going to be very transparent with you. Even at this stage, I do have those moments. I will have some mornings. My husband will say to me, Nas, you need to share that video with you speaking and so on. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to share it. And he's like, what is wrong with you? He's like, what is wrong with you, Nas? I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm showing off. And he's like,
I know what you're saying.
What are you talking about? But the truth is, that is imposter syndrome too. Because you are thinking to yourself that I don't want the crowd to say that I'm too far ahead. I'm too successful. And then it turns into self-sabotage. So we have to be so careful, right? So the imposter syndrome would be you thinking that, oh, something is telling you that you're not worthy. Self-sabotage is you taking it a step further to prevent yourself from gaining opportunities or putting yourself out there. I've had days that I get up and I hear something saying to me, how did you even become a UN ambassador? You're not even worth that title. Like, how did you? And people have said that to me, and it had made it worse.
But stick a pin. You're not even worth that title.
That's what the voice says.
Who does the adding? Who's doing the adding?
So crazy. It's so crazy. I had one particular incident where somebody picked up their phone to call me and said, oh, who gave you that title? I'm like, excuse me. Who gave you that title? Yes, somebody called to ask me that from a very authoritative body. And I was so appalled. I mean, after I got off the conversation, I put the phone down and I was like, what just happened? But it is so. And every time I'm asked that question, what I don't do is to just believe what is said. I step back and I recount what I've done. It's not boasting, it's not bigging up yourself, it's just reminding yourself what you have accomplished and why you were called and why you were appointed. And then that reminds me that, oh yes, I am that that girl.
You are.
So I don't have to worry.
And the audacity of whoever that was their own
happens.
self insecurities though. So we're not paying them no mind.
True.
You an ambassador around here. All right. You should have two goals in life. The first is to find your talent. The second is to figure out how to share it. I read that quote while I was doing research for this show, this particular show, Trusting the Process. And I want to talk about the latter, the sharing, right? Why is it important to share the journey?
When I think back, if I didn't have persons sharing their journey, I wouldn't be here. I can tell you that. Some have really big names, some don't have big names. They've all played a part in me being who I am today, including my husband. But there are persons that I looked at and I said, man, if she can do it, I can do it too. And so even when the imposter syndrome became so much, and my thoughts were overcrowded, I had to remember that there is a little Nas right now watching Chasing Purpose that needs to hear my story, because she is going to think that she's not going to become anybody great because of her life circumstances. And so for me, I've pretty much lived my whole life since I found my purpose. I've lived my whole life just to reach the other Nas in every nook and cranny across the world, to let them know that it's still possible. The reason I share is because of those persons who feel unreached, those persons who feel hopeless, those persons that say, listen, they told me I was workless, I'm not gonna ever amount to nothing. I'm here to remind them, me a ghetto girl, born that, listen, don't pay my makeup and my shoes, not mine, ghetto, right? And I'm proud of where I'm coming from, because I can go back tomorrow and I can help people to find jobs, and I can help young ladies remember or find their purpose or find their identity and know that they're better than what the circumstance says they are. And so for me, sharing the story is as important as the story itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. You just touched on it, but I'm going to ask you, are you chasing your purpose, or have you found your purpose?
I found my purpose. I think every day I wake up, sometimes it evolves into something else.
Yes. Because when you find the purpose, there's purpose within that purpose. You're going to find as you continue to go, there's so much purpose within that overarching purpose. Yeah, man.
Because, the Bible says, David wrote that the word is like a lamp unto his feet and a light unto his path. The reason that he would say that is because with every step he would see clearer. But in this moment, when you're stepping, you only see one step further. That's with purpose. You don't see the whole line. You don't see what's going to happen 10 years from now. You literally see what happens now.
Right.
So today I'm on Chasing Purpose. Maybe in the next 10 years I'll be on Oprah. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think it's
I'm just saying.
That's a lot. So far, okay?
I'm just
Sunday,
saying.
we're on our way, okay?
But
I'm coming with Nas, by the way.
Yes, please. But I'm just saying it is one step that you see at a time. And today it may be sharing via TV. Tomorrow I'm helping people finding jobs so that they can put food on their table. And then the day after that, maybe I'll be sitting somewhere in Parliament, and then I'm doing it on a larger scale. You just never know.
You don't. You just never know. And I want to encourage, but let me not encourage. I'm going to ask you, Nas, to encourage our listeners. Encourage someone right now, man or woman, young child, teenager, entrepreneur, young mother, young father, someone just lost someone. Encourage them. Encourage someone today on this trusting the process.
It's so hard to actually live in purpose and to chase purpose and to find purpose. But let me tell you something, once you do find it, it is the most fulfilling thing ever. You are not what society says you are. You are not what you see in your environment. You're not what your mother, father, all the negative things that they may have spoken over you inadvertently. You are none of those. And the moment that you tap into your truer self by finding a source, find out who is God. God is the only one that can tell you what your purpose is. People can allude to it, but He is the one that will reveal it to you. I'm telling you that we are all here for special assignment. A special assignment.
Yes, we are.
And NAS can do it for you. Sin can do it for you. You will have to get up and you will have to do it for the world. And remember, when you're walking in your purpose, you're not just doing it for you so you can buy yourself a nice car, a nice house, and your kids are going to be happy and all of that. No, it is for humanity. Because your assignment is going to impact a whole heap of people. And they need you to show up so that then they can get up and show up for others. And so I'm saying to you, listen, low out, full company, that's not going to take you anywhere. Dig deep into what your passion may be. Read, learn more, find positive influences. But don't ever forget to never lose your faith and keep acting on that faith. You're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable. You hear it? From Nas's mouth to your ears. You are unstoppable. Nas, where can our audience find you?
On Instagram. I'm on Instagram, Natassia Wright, Natassia. I'm sure you're going to see it somewhere on here. On Instagram, on YouTube. I do a lot of YouTube videos, even imposter syndrome, waiting, all those different things. It's there. On Facebook as well, same name. And also follow Mind Food. It's MINDFOOD_01 on Instagram. And you can find us on Facebook as well. Our website, www.mindfoodinternational.com. And we're here if you need any speaker for your event, a corporate trainer, maybe you need a recruiter, maybe you need an HR consultant or a leadership practitioner. We're here to serve you.
Thank you, Nas. I really enjoyed our conversation today. I look
Yes.
forward to. By the way,
It was a blessing.
Nas, while this is our first time actually physically meeting each other, we are in Bible study together, and I didn't even know that Abigail booked you, by the way. So this is a kind of it's an alignment. Yes, it's an alignment, and we're gonna have her partner, her husband, Jamar, on soon. Thank you so much for being a part of Chasing
Pleasure.
Purpose. A process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. There is a purpose for all of our lives. Every human being is gifted with a purpose, a reason for being here. There are some things we will all have to go through in order to unearth this purpose. This is where the process comes in. For some, it may come easy, and for others, it may not. Nothing happens before its appointed time. What we must do is have faith, put in the work, and trust the process. Remember to always sow seeds others will benefit from. Wishing you love, light, and purpose.